Okay, this last tutorial will go through these extension questions, the logbook and the tools used. So these extension questions is really just for you to do some research on. There's quite a number of handles that you can put on our toolbox, but there's a specific reason why we do chest handles. If we go down to the next one, why do we use a T-hinge instead of a butt hinge or a hairline hinge? Alright, so the others are mainly used for jewelry boxes and other things like that. Okay, research an appropriate adhesive glue in order to glue the aluminium bar onto the timber. So that's just a bit of research that you need to do online. If we go to the photos of construction and toolbox, just make sure that for my OCD nature that everything's inside your presentation, because what happens is this all gets sent to an authority body who checks it and makes sure that the mark I give you is the mark that you should have received. So it's really important that you present nice and neatly, because this does get all sent off to an external body and checked. The way it works with this logbook, it's very simple. So all you do is you put a thumbnail photo of, for example, the docking, which happened on the drop saw. And then all you do is a brief description on that photo. So for example, here you'll go docked 890 length for sides on drop saw. Okay, do a brief description and then also add in some of the safety elements. So say that, for example, for multiple lengths, we used a stop to ensure the measurements were accurate. Okay, so remember we put a stop at 890 to make sure that we could slip in multiple stocks, and then that we can all cut that out. Alright, so it's just a brief description of what the thumbnail entails, because the safety of the drop saw you'll do later on in the tools used. So for this section you'll literally just have a picture of the drop saw, you'll say when you use that tool, and you'll also have some safety precautions behind it. So you need to make sure that you're the only one within the designated area, making sure that you're not crossing your hands, making sure that the piece is firmly held against the fence, making sure that when you are doing the drop saw it is a nice smooth action, and that you do not release your hand off the saw until the saw has stopped spinning. Alright, so there's some safety concerns in relation to the drop saw. So you'll have a picture of the drop saw, when we used it, so to dock all the timber and also to cut the aluminium, and then you'll need to have the safeties applied to it. So you've got the logbook, so if you need more then I would just duplicate the slide and then you can continue working on that. Same with the tools used, you can just keep duplicating the slides and adding all the tools. One final thing I just forgot is your construction steps. So before you do your logbook, it's really important and really easy if you just start by saying 1, ripped timber on table saw at width of 300 and 276. 276. Okay, that's your first one. And then your second one is you docked timber on drop saw at length of 890 and 300. Okay, so then once we had all our stock, okay, what we did next was then we put the top piece into vise, applied beading of glue, PVA glue, to be specific, on edge, partner held side flat onto edge, using pneumatic air nailer. Fixed sides to top at fixed sides to top, creating L shape. Okay, and then you do that one more time, so that step is repeated. Step 3 is repeated. And then you put your ends on, and then blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you work through and just highlight everything you've done. So by the time you go into your logbook, you can then make sure that you've added in each of those steps. All right, the construction steps is really where you can put a lot of detail in. So if your ends, when you put your ends on, and you found your box wasn't quite square, so you needed to get the sash clamp in order to square up your box, then you need to explain that in that section. So you just say needed to square carcass up using sash clamps. Used pneumatic nail gun to fix ends into place. Okay, and then you can say repeat. Step 5. Okay, the main thing is then when you need to make sure that when you're doing these construction steps that you add any tools, any processes into this. So this is your detail. Alright, so if you get through and you're running out of room, just duplicate slide and continue your step-by-step guide. At the end of the day, it should be, if someone who's never constructed a toolbox looks through your folio, they'll be able to read it, follow the pictures and instructions that you've done in your logbook, look at the tools used and make sure that all that is available for them so they can actually make a toolbox themselves.